We're going to miss Jonathan. Another round of applause, and we wish you well. Minister's log, star date, March 30th, 2014. Seattle Unity is 3 months into this year's Soul Trek journey, and these are the things that we have discovered so far. One is, in order to begin a soul trek, we must have the courage to even begin. 2, we must be willing for change to happen. Even the smallest changes can affect the big picture. And so we've also been looking at what habits we can incorporate into our lives that are more positive. We have begun to pack for the trek, and in our pack we have the 5 unity principles, and that is that there is one presence and one power in the universe, and that is God the good. 2, that the Spirit of God dwells within all beings. 3, the law of mind action, or our thoughts, our words, our actions affect our lives and our destinies and affects the entire world. And 4, we spiritually practice the principles through meditation and prayer and in our daily life. So the month of March then has been about releasing and letting go, because the truth is that no matter how much you would like to take all of your possessions with you when you go on a trip, you can't, right? I mean, you got to sort through certain things, and you have to decide what it is that you can take. So there's a lot of releasing that also needs to happen when we go on a trek, and we have been looking at that this month. So release takes many forms. One of the forms that release takes form is through emotions, right? Through feeling, through opening our hearts, through feeling our own pain and witnessing one another's pain, through feeling joy and celebration and celebrating with our loved ones and witnessing that. And this week we have had been called, if you will, to witness the suffering of Oso, the town of Oso, right? And so in that, I'd like for us actually just to stop for a moment and just in silence hold the town, the people who lost their lives, and those who remain, and the volunteers in your heart. Let's just do that for a moment. And we bless all who have made their transitions. We bless them on their journey in life, knowing that life does not end. We hold in our prayers the family and friends, the people of the town. We hold them in love and in comfort, in the love and comfort of their family, their community, and of God. And we also bless the rescue workers and the volunteers, and we recognize that the Spirit of God is moving in and through them and guiding their hands. So let us together, using the pronoun you, bless them all with the prayer of loving kindness. If you know it, just join me. May you be free from danger. May you have mental happiness. May you have physical happiness. And may you have ease of well-being. May it be so. So letting go, one of the forms of release, is stopping for a moment and allowing that kind of experience to enter our hearts. Letting go is also a spiritual law. Jesus said, "As you give, so shall you receive. The measure with which you give is the measure with which you shall receive. Heaped up, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be put into your laps." We affirm that when we bless our offering. And so it seems counterintuitive. What do you mean? I need something. Well, guess what? That's what you have to give. So you need a friend, you need to be a friend. You need money, you need to give money. You need creativity, you need to spend some time in the creative process. So today, what we're looking at is releasing our physical possessions in order to make room in our life, because our physical possessions can clog the energy. And so we asked you to bring some stuff, and I know not everybody did, but if you did you raise your hand? And just Great, wonderful. So the truth is that, again, no matter how you may want to, we can't go on a trek with all of our stuff. So that's what we're looking at today, and I wanted to share with you a reading, a piece about stuff by a great philosopher named George Carlin. And you may remember this, it's called Stuff. And he said, you know, that's all you need in life is a little place for your stuff. And that's what your house is. Your house is a place for you to keep your stuff. Because if you didn't have a house to keep your stuff, well, then you could just kind of walk around all the time, right? Because you didn't have your stuff. A house is a pile of stuff with a cover over it. And when you fly in an airplane, you can look down and all you see are piles of stuff with a cover over it. And what happens when you leave your house? When you leave your house, you have to lock it up. Why? Because somebody might come in and steal your stuff. And what do? They steal your good stuff, right? They don't steal your junk. They steal your good stuff. So that's what a house is. It is a place to keep your stuff. And so when you go out and you lock your door, what are you doing? You're going out and you're getting more stuff, aren't you, to bring into your house. And sometimes you end up having so much stuff that you have to move into a bigger house because you have so much stuff. And sometimes you have so much stuff that you actually have to get a storage unit and you have to put your stuff in the storage unit and you have to pay somebody to watch your stuff. He says, did you ever notice that when you're in somebody else's home, you feel a little bit uncomfortable? And the reason for that is your stuff isn't there. It's somebody else's stuff that you're surrounded by. And have you ever spent the night at somebody's house and they give you this little tiny room, you know, with a little bed, and you go in and you don't feel right? Why? Because your stuff isn't there. And you want to put your stuff on the dresser, but somebody else's junk is already there. He didn't use the word junk, but I'm using the word junk. And he says, isn't it interesting how your stuff is your stuff, but somebody else's stuff is junk, right? And you would feel a lot better if they would just make some room on the dresser so you could put away your stuff. Now, sometimes we go on vacations, and what happens when we go on vacations? We have to bring our stuff. Now, we bring our best stuff, and we have a couple of suitcases where we put our stuff in, and then we go to another country or another continent or across the country, wherever it is, and as soon as we get to our hotel, what do? We got to put away our stuff, right? And he says, like, you put away your stuff goes here. If you're with somebody else, then they put their stuff over here. And then once you have all your stuff put away, you're fine. He said, even though you're far away from home, you start to get used to it. You start to feel okay, because after all, you do have some of your stuff with you. George Carlin. In the last few years of my mother's life, she remodeled her kitchen. It had been a dream of hers to do this for years, and so she finally got it done, and she had white counters and white floor and everything white. And of course, a couple months later, I said, how do you like your kitchen? She goes, I don't like it. Everything's dirty. You can see the dirt so quickly. But I helped her organize her stuff in the kitchen, because I grew up, you know, where you couldn't even really open a drawer because there was so much stuff in there. Not that I have any of those kinds of drawers at home at all. You know, we'd have five can openers and 10 bottle openers. And so I said to my mom, I'm like, Ma, let me help you organize this, because she was kind of sick, so she couldn't get up. I said, I'll do all the work. You just tell me what to do. So we got her best dishes. We got her best silverware. We got everything else out. Put the cabinets only with the pots and pans that were being used. So we were done, and it was like really great. And I had all the stuff on the table. And just as we were finishing up, in walks my dad. And he says, what are you doing? And I said, you know, we're creating order in the kitchen. He looks at something and he goes, but this is a good thing. And he puts it back in the drawer and he starts putting things back. And I'm like, Dad, you know, we're trying to create order here. And he says, well, what are you going to do with it? I said, we're going to give it away. And he goes, you can't give that stuff away. That's my stuff. I said, all right, well, we'll put it in the basement. Anybody relate to this? Is this anybody else's story? Yeah, so my dad dies 10, 15 years later. I go down to the basement. What's down there? The stuff from the kitchen, plus 30-some years extra of things. Have you ever had to clear out your parents' homes? Or a siblings or somebody else's, and you have all that stuff around? And what about your stuff? I mean, what about when your kids have to clear out your stuff, right? I mean, I was looking through my things, and the thing is about our possessions is they mean something to us, but they may not mean something to anyone else. For instance, I have in my linen closet, I have a towel, a beach towel. And it's old, and it's so old that you can almost see through it. But it's a beach towel that I had when I was down in the Baja, down in 1976. I can't get rid of that, you know? And I can see my kids, if I'm dead, why does she have this rag, you know, in the cabinet? Or I had a pair of shoes that were made when I was in Africa. In 1974, I wore them all through Africa, but I haven't worn them since. And every time I go to clear stuff out, I'm like, yeah, but I can't give these shoes away. I have to keep them. So clearing out our stuff actually makes it easier to take a soul trek and to go on our journey because it clears up the energy. So what we have today is a variation on a potlatch. Now, a potlatch is a Native American tradition, and it is a celebration, and it's usually centered around a wedding or something big, and it's about gift giving, whether it's food or whether it's possession. There is a gift giving, and it's a celebration of generosity. The word potlatch means giveaway, and it's where we get our word potluck. So we have asked you to bring a gift today, something of value. If you didn't, there's no wrong, so don't be going, oh gosh, I forgot it. It's fine if you didn't. And we have a Ken Griffey bobblehead doll, unless somebody already picked it up. I've been scouting things out, you know. So did anyone bring something that you haven't yet set on the table? Would you raise your hand if you didn't? And if you would like to go do that right now. So what I'd also like you to do is, for those of you who brought something and set it on the table, I would like you, and if you didn't bring something, what I would like you to do is to think about what you have at home that you are willing to release, something of good value that you haven't used or touched in at least, 2 years. So what I'd like you to do is just stop for a moment, and for those of you who brought something, imagine the gift that you brought, and what is the story behind it? Is it that you were given it as a gift, or what, did you buy it? Either way, I want you to bless the person who gave it to you, and if it's you, I want you to bless yourself. So just holding that object in your mind. And now I would invite you to imagine that whoever picks up this object is also blessed by you. So put that blessing into the object that you brought. And then you can come back to this time. Now, as we give things away, we're giving it away freely. So if at the end of the day yours is still here, it's like, no, we're giving it away freely. So what I'd like us to do in the idea of creating community, I would like you to talk to someone near you. And if you're together with somebody, you might want to split up, but you don't have to. And what I'd like you to share is the story behind the gift that you brought, a short story. If you didn't bring anything, tell a story of something that you would like to release that is in your home. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes. So if you would, find somebody to share your story about what you brought. And if you need a partner, raise your hand or stand up. Okay, and if you would begin wrapping up and coming on back. Thank your partner. Thank your partner for sharing. So one of the things that I brought today was a Buddhist necklace. It's actually a Buddha relic necklace, and I bought it, I think, 7 years ago. And it was interesting because when I brought it home and put it on, it was very clear that it wasn't mine. It was, of course, it took me 7 years to let go and release it, but that's one of the things that is there. I know we have golf clubs, some really, really nice golf clubs that somebody brought, and someone else put out a diamond and ruby ring this morning. So we feel the generosity that is moving through this community that is moving and sharing. So spiritual law again says that as we give, so we receive. And Buddha said it this way. He said, if you knew what I know about the power of giving, you would not let a single meal pass without sharing it in some way. Generosity. The Bible also speaks about giving 10%. It's very specific. In the book of Malachi, we read, bring the full tithe into the storehouse so that there may be food in my house. And thus put me to the test, says the Lord of hosts. See if I will not open the windows of heaven for you and pour down for you an overflowing blessing. Why 10%? 10% because I think we notice with 10%, right? It's just enough to kind of get our attention. The thing of it is, if you've never tithed, I would invite you to start with 1% or 5% or 3%, because the idea is to learn to be in the flow of giving and receiving and to give to the source. When you give to the source of your spiritual good, what we're saying is, I'm honoring that presence of God that's moving through me, that is moving through my life. It's REI is a very successful company. I love REI. We've got the mothership right nearby here. And I just got my dividend thing in the mail this week. And when I looked at it, it's exactly 10% of what I spent. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. REI is tithing back to their customers. What a great idea. What a great thing. The truth is, if you need more creativity in your life, just give it 10%, right? Just sit down and just sort of go, okay, I'm going to be here for 10% of the time, and 10% is a willingness. If you need to clear clutter in your home, rather than trying to do the whole thing, go, all right, I'm going to clean 10% of my living room. That's what I'll do. Or I'll open a drawer, I'll do 10% of this living room. Or if you're disconnected from a friend, you don't have to go meet them 100% or even 50%. You can put it out 10% and see what happens. When we meet God and call upon the presence of God, all we need is 10%, because God will come and meet us the rest of the way. The 10% shows a willingness. Like in the prodigal son, when the son came home and he was expecting his father to just give him the scraps of his table if he was lucky, because he had squandered his inheritance. And yet the prodigal son is standing at the gate. What is he doing by standing at the gate? He's giving that 10% and he's saying, I'm here. And what does his father do? His father runs out to greet him. His father gives him a brand new cloak. He throws him a party. And again, it's that same thing. When we turn, when we move in that direction, even just 10%, the universe responds and the universe gives back. It's the spiritual law. Gibran said, you give little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. So after we have given of our possessions, then it's important that we also give away our love. I spoke earlier about witnessing the suffering of the people of Oso, and this morning, Marcia Rattan, who was at the early service, wrote a poem yesterday about them, and she gave it to me, and she said, I don't know if this has anything to do with anything for you, but I want to give it to you. And the reason I'm sharing it is it speaks to the idea of what you give away. She's giving away her blessings. She's giving away her love. She's giving away her prayers. And so here is the poem. I was out before the dawn walking. I couldn't sleep, thinking of Oso. The thrushes and chickadees sang at first light without hesitation, filling the ravine with beauty. It is raining again, and people are digging in miserable mud. Sorrow falls out of the sky as the truth sets in. 1 week later, these neighbors are gone, all gone. The hope of rescue gone too. All that is left is the fierce love of a community, caring for one another. Our garden is wet, so green, forget-me-nots just blooming. Small blue blossoms return again and again. They don't give up. We won't forget. We remember you. That is a gift from Marcia Rattan. That is a gift of release, of emotion, of prayer, of poetry. Witness each other's pain, suffering. Witness each other's joy and celebration. What you give away clears the way for what you are becoming. And what you are becoming is the manifestation of that amazing divine presence that dwells within you. Make it so.